Okay, ma'am, go right ahead. I am recording. Why don't you tell me what happened?
Okay. First off, sir, I used to work with Fulton County Sheriff's Office, okay? Back in May, I went to a graduation with Marvel Middle School. And when I went to that graduation, I went in to um, to see the graduation, to attend the graduation. That was on May 20th. All right. There was the bleachers. You know how bleachers are made in the gym?
Mm-hmm.
All right, the first seating, the first step of bleachers, then it was like maybe three or four. There was a lady that I knew named Tina, and I was trying to get her attention because I was opening up a salon. I wanted to just get her number and go find my family where they were sitting. The Mexican lady was sitting there, and I decided I wanted to just get her number, and she wanted to see my baby girl, my 4-year-old, because she hadn't seen her since she was born. So the Mexican lady said somebody was sitting there. I said, well, we're not here to sit down. I'm just going to let her step up. And I kept talking to Tina, didn't think nothing of it. I had a purse in my hand, had my coat over my arms, a cup of ice, and my keys in my hand. And once Tina gave me her number, she gave me back my phone. And my baby girl was trying to come down the bridge. I said, wait a minute, let me put some of this stuff away. So I just sat down to put some of the stuff away, and I felt a big push. And apparently my baby girl didn't listen to me, and she was steady coming down the bleachers. And when I turned around, I saw the Mexican lady on her feet. And she put her hand on my thigh and on my shoulder, and she was pushing me. And as she was pushing me, my baby girl was going to the side with me because she had just came down the bleachers, and now she's at my back. My clothes got caught under me. Her mother got up and let her continue to push me until my clothes couldn't go any further. I went over and I landed on my baby girl. I dropped my cup of ice, my jacket. By this time, my 4-year-old, she's crying. I pushed the lady off of me so I can see about my 4-year-old. And I turned to her and I get her, and my daughter came down the bleachers, and my niece, my daughter was highly upset. She got in the lady's face. The lady had to get up better. My niece got in between them and pushed the lady back and said, you're an adult. I said, Tina, one of y'all please go get my daughter. She's very upset. I'm shaking. I'm upset myself, but I never attacked this woman. My concern was my 4-year-old and my daughter. Once we got outside, the officer came back to the area before we left and went outside. She had the lady who assaulted me. She had her 2 children with her. I kept looking around for an officer, but I couldn't see one because she was at the bathroom with her children. We went outside, and the officer said, can you tell me? I told the girl, I said, stay calm, y'all, stop. Don't argue, don't fight, don't do any of that. You will be at fault. She walked up to me, she said, can you tell me, everybody's calm, and since you're the most calm one, can you tell me what happened? I said, she was pushing me down the bleachers. I explained myself just like I explained it to you, sir. The officer cut me off. She said, okay, so she pushed you, you pushed her back. Okay, that's how. I said, no, ma'am, it wasn't just cut and dry like that. And then she took my daughter, and she said, no, who hit? Who was she up? Who else was she involved with? My daughter said, I came down, she jumped up out her seat at me, I hit her. Because I said, what are you doing jumping on my mother? She thought they were attacking me.
Mm-hmm.
And the officer took my daughter and the lady. Let me just stop for a minute. Before she took them, she let the lady use her phone. And the mother kept calling my daughter, she was cursing at my children, calling them bitches. And I told her, I said, y'all, I stood between them. I said, I'm not going to let this woman, jump on my children. I said, y'all just be quiet. And my daughter said, Mom, we just going to stand here and take her calling us bitches? I said, don't argue back with her. I told the deputy, can you stop her? All she did was told her to move over closer to her daughter. They let her use her phone to call her husband. They took her inside. They took my daughter inside with her and told us to stay out. I sat down in my van. I proceeded to use my phone. The deputy told me, you can't use your phone. And I said, well, why not? Hold on 1 minute, sir, just 1 minute. Hello?
Mm-hmm.
This is Linda McDuffie. Yes, sir. I have a complaint
Okay, go right ahead.
So they told us we couldn't use our phone. I said, well, why not? I said, y'all let her use hers. He said, well, you might call a group of people up here. I said, sir, what was the difference in her calling a group of people? Why is it not fair for me? I said, never mind, I'm not going to argue with them. I sat in my van on the outside, like, you push the side door open and you let your feet hang outside. And the officer walked up, he said, don't I know you? He was talking to my niece. He said, yeah, you were the problem in middle school. You used to like to fight. And she said, no, I don't like to fight. I only defend myself. He said, yeah, you like to fight. He said, and you, ma'am, he said, let me see her ID. The sergeant, his name is Sergeant Coleman. He said, what agency you work for? Is this Fulton County? I said, yes, sir. He said, nobody will work for Fulton County. He said, but, ma'am, I instructed my people to arrest all of you, take all of you to jail. I said, sir, I said, why is that? I was assaulted. He said, you contributed to the fight. You pushed her. I said, sir, I pushed her off me because I had landed on my daughter, my 4-year-old. She's crying. I had to get this lady off me. That was the second time she had pushed me. I said, and she was on top of me. He said, it don't matter. You should have done nothing. I said, are you serious? This is my life. He said, you should have got an officer. I said, the officer was nowhere around. She was in the restroom. He said, well, you should have done nothing. I mean, you're an officer. You could have controlled the situation.
Let me ask you a question. You're a correctional officer at Fulton County?
I was a detention officer at Fulton County at that time.
Okay.
I resigned to go into business.
Okay, got it. And he knew you were a correctional officer, and he was giving you no professional courtesy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and he was accusing you based on the word of the other party?
He was accusing me, sir, based off of the officer said, well, she pushed her back, and then he saw that I was a Fulton County officer.
Mm-hmm.
And when he made the statement, nobody wants to work for Fulton County. I understand that Fulton County, yes, we have some unprofessional individuals that were there, that have been on news or whatever, and given us a bad name. But I was very professional at the county. I did my job for 10 years, and I walked away in order to open up businesses, to open up jobs for other people. Okay? So for him to judge me...
So he was basically criticizing you simply because you were employed by another agency that he didn't like?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's inappropriate. It's unprofessional. So let me ask you to continue. Did he arrest you?
No, sir. He didn't arrest me because I had to beg for him to just listen and understand what happened. He said, well, if my officer tell me it was something more to it, I'm going to come back and I'm going to put handcuffs on him.
Okay.
He walked away. He came back to me. He said, I'm just going to write you a ticket. You are going to get a ticket for afraid and disorderly of school property. And I said, afraid. He said, you are contributing to a fight. I said, I didn't fight with her. I never hit the woman. I have witnesses. I said, please go in and ask my witnesses who were there. All the ladies on the bleachers that's where the incident happened. Please ask those ladies. He said, I asked your witnesses. Everybody said you were at fault. You started it. He was laughing.
He was laughing?
He was laughing.
What was the race of the officer?
He was black.
He was black and he was behaving unprofessionally. And are you African American?
Yes, sir, I'm African American. But the woman who did this to me is Mexican.
Okay. All right. So this officer was making insulting remarks, laughing about the situation, and repeatedly threatening you with arrest.
Yes, sir. And then he told my niece, he said, her children, my sister came out, she said, she came out her keys, and Sabrina said, where's my children? And she said, where's my son? So my sister brought her son out to her. And then she said, and he's listening to this conversation. She said, look, your sister going to take your Ayana with her. He said, how many children you got? She said, I have 2. He said, this your child? She said, yes. And he said, you have another one? She said, sure, yes. I said, how old are you? She said, 18. He said, see, this is what I'm talking about. This is the product of babies making babies. And I looked up at the product. What do you mean? He said, back in here, I'm looking at your age on here. You got to do what? I said, 40. He said, right, when we were coming up, you know how teenagers got pregnant, and now their children are getting babies as teenagers.
Hold on. How was it his place to lecture you about any of that personal information?
Sir, I don't know, but with all of this, I filed a complaint with the Clayton County Sheriff's Office. And he's under investigation at this time, but he struck again last night. And it's worse.
Okay, so after you filed a complaint, he came after you again?
He came after my niece, yes, sir. The one she filed a complaint, I filed a complaint.
And what did he do to your niece?
Okay, last night, Morrow High School had a bonfire after they had the parade. You know what bonfire is, right? For the
yeah.
fire and okay. So the school does this every year. So all the children were out. Sabrine, my daughter, myself. I mean, well, I didn't even went to the parade. I didn't stay for the bonfire. But my nephew, my daughter-in-law, everybody was out. So it was time to come home. Everybody's getting ready to leave. Her brother, who's 14 years old, was playing against some other boys, and her 1-year-old was trying to follow him. So she said, "Hey, get her hand." She said, "Boy, get her hand." So he took the baby and he started running. And she noticed that when he was running, he detoured and ran in front of a car. The cars were moving slow on the street because they understood the event that was going on. But the car had time to stop. She goes, "Boy," and she runs up to him, and she grabs her baby. He knew he knew she had grabbed the baby. So when she grabbed the baby, he tried to take off and run. She hit at him. She hit him, but she didn't hit him like, "I'm just going to wham on you." She just hit him and said, "Stop playing. You almost got you in her hip." The same Sergeant Coleman. He had to be standing back watching her, waiting for the time to come up to her, and that was his moment. He said, "Hey, me and you need to talk." And she said, "I don't need to talk to you about anything." And he said, "Yeah, you and I need to talk. I have statements, and I just want to read one of the statements to you, if you don't mind."
Go ahead.
Okay. On 10/27/2011, around 8 p.m., I was walking with my sister-in-law, Muslima, my cousin, Sabrine, and her brothers, Malik and Sadiq. We were trying to gather all the smaller children to take them home from the activity. At this time, Malik was playing near the street area, and the smaller baby was trying to follow him. When Sabrine told him to stop playing and grab the smaller baby's hand, he picked her up and ran in the street. A car was driving slow speed but stopped before hitting Malik. Sabrine ran over to Malik and hit him on the arm and said, "I told you to stop playing. You ran in the street and almost got you and my baby hit by a car." Malik stopped playing and helped us get everybody home. Malik is 14 years old and attends Morrow High School, so he knew he was wrong. He didn't complain. He just did what was said. All the other officers were standing around and did nothing because it was nothing. Sergeant Coleman was the only one that started harassing Sabrina. Sergeant Coleman walked toward her and stated, "You come here, let me talk to you." She stopped and started explaining to him about what happened. Then he said, No, me and you need to talk." That's when Sabrina said, "Me and you don't have anything to talk about." Sergeant Coleman kept walking up on her real slow, saying, "Come here, me and you need to talk." Sabrina didn't move or walk away. Sabrina also stated that, "I have a complaint against you, so we don't have anything to talk about." She also stated, "I told you what happened. Why you want to talk to me?" Sergeant Coleman finally walked directly up on Sabrina and said, "No, we got to talk." Sabrina said, "Don't walk up on me. I already have a complaint on you, and I'll put another one." Then the female deputy walked up on Sabrina and started grabbing the baby out of Sabrina's arms. Sabrina started yelling, "Don't grab my baby." The female deputy kept pulling the baby while Sergeant Coleman was pulling Sabrina's right arm to get the baby from her. They finally got the baby out of Sabrina's arm and started throwing her around, trying to throw her to the ground. But she kept bracing herself, yelling, "Y'all ain't got to handle me like this." Sabrina was not fighting back. She was just bracing herself so she didn't hit the ground. The female deputy got really mad and started hitting Sabrina with her fist, her right fist, while Sergeant Coleman still had her right arm and the female deputy's left hand was holding Sabrina's left arm.
Okay, let me stop you there. Your reading it is great. I'm getting a lot from it, but I want to ask a couple of questions, okay?
Go ahead.
So let me make sure I understand this. This officer who she had already filed a complaint against saw her at this event having a small conflict with her brother. And the conflict was just a regular family matter. They weren't fighting. She wasn't abusing him. She hit him on the arm to let him know that he shouldn't have run out in the street. Is that right?
Exactly.
Okay. And this officer evaluated her hitting her younger brother as what? Some sort of an assault?
Yes, sir. He charged her with 4 different charges.
Again, for hitting her brother?
Yes, sir. He charged her with cruelty to children, simple battery, obstruction to public school, and disorderly conduct.
Okay, let me make sure I understand this. And you believe that that was only done to retaliate because she had an active complaint against him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, in this course of arresting her, they did physically assault her. Is that what you're telling me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I don't want you to go through all of the details because I'm going to have you in a conference call with my staff, and I want you to go over the details then. When they put her down to the ground and took her under arrest, was she injured?
They didn't. They never got her to the ground.
Okay.
But they kept throwing her around. She kept putting her foot down.
Okay. So they didn't get her on the ground.
Her hair, which is one of the tracks.
They pulled her hair?
And yes, sir. They pulled her hair. The track in the back came out. It's hanging on, like, you know how you glue, but you don't know. But
No, I do know. I'm African American. I know women's hair. I have a daughter and family, so I know how women's hair works, and I had nothing to be ashamed of. It's just, I know what you're talking about. So they pulled one of the tracks of her hair out, and
right.
and that caused her obvious pain, I'm sure. And
Right.
was she struck? You said the woman was hitting her in the face?
No, she was hitting her on her back.
Hitting her in the back.
Hitting her on her back.
Did the male officer strike her at all?
No, he was throwing her. Sabrina's 117 pounds, 118. So the male officer, that was his time to pick her up and slam her face down to the ground. But she kept putting her foot down so she wouldn't hit the ground because she knew she didn't want her face to hit the ground.
Okay. Okay. Well, did they finally get her in handcuffs and take her to jail?
After that, they never put her in handcuffs. They let her stand by the car with no handcuffs on.
Okay.
So my question to Captain Sean Johnson, who is the captain of the sheriff's department over this area, why were they throwing her around if they weren't trying to get her in handcuffs?
Well, that's my question. If they started an arrest like that, they almost had an obligation to complete it. I'm a retired detective, so you know that I know what I'm talking about. Let me back up a minute, though. So did they ever take her to jail, to the police station?
Yes, sir. They took her to the police station. Before they took her off, they were going to put her in the car, and I guess they realized that she didn't have handcuffs on, or she had a bag. She still had a bag on her, like the cross, like from one shoulder to the other side. And they took the handcuffs off and took the bag off her and something else, and then they put the handcuffs back on. Just that simple. She put her hands back to the back, put the handcuffs on, and put her in the car.
Okay. Now, and they took her to jail and charged her with the 4 charges you mentioned?
Right. And the sergeant felt it was necessary to go over to the children and tell them, we're not being abusive or we're not trying to be mean. We're just trying to keep order, maintain order out here. And while my daughter-in-law was trying to, say Sabrine, they were telling them, step back or we're going to arrest y'all too.
Okay.
There was 2 teachers that came up trying to get them under control, and they made an issue with the 2 teachers and almost got them fired.
Okay. Now, your daughter is how old? Or the Sabrine?
Sabrine is 18.
She's 18. And does she go to that school, or she was just going there to visit to see someone play sports?
Oh, no. It was for the parade and the bonfire. Everybody in the neighborhood.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was a parade.
Okay, so it was a parade and a bonfire, so it was a community event.
Right.
Okay, got it. All right, let me stop you there. I'm going to stop the recorder, and I have a few additional things to tell you.